everyone, Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you, as always, for listening to our content. But for more in-depth coverage on the Indiana Hoosiers football, basketball, and recruiting news, go to thehoosier.com on 3. Now with On 3 and great national writers like Ari Wasserman, Andy Staples, and Steve Wiltfong for football. Pete Nakos, J.B. Shaw, and Joe Tipton's constantly breaking stories on the basketball side. And the local coverage from Alec Lasley, Kyler Staley, and Zach Browning. You can catch something new every day at thehoosier.com. Go there. Sign up today.
Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, time! 3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Come on, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Tuesday. Jeremy Gray joins us now from the campus of Indiana University as Senior Athletics Director. And there's so many titles I can never keep up with them. I know you're a Senior Associate AD, but you handle more of the media relations side. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, media relations, kind of our creative services, our broadcast partnerships. Those would be in my bailiwick, and then I'm the sport administrator for baseball, swimming and diving, tennis, and volleyball.
Any other side jobs? You raking yards? You doing anything like that?
You know what? Actually, it's a bunch of little jobs that barely equal a real job. So yeah, don't feel sorry for me.
Hey, I say it all the time. I go, it's the hours add up, but I'm not digging a ditch, so I'm not going to complain. But welcome. Thanks a lot for taking time to join us here today. I appreciate it. But there's actually so much going on. But Indiana, things are going really well with IU athletics now, with the signing of Darren DeVries, which brings in a fresh breath to the basketball program, and the excitement going. This has never happened. We're going into a fall. At least I am, knowing Indiana is going to have a good football team, a good football season. I just don't know how good it's going to be. I've yet to release my number. Last year I went with a 6-0 start, then it was an 8-0 start, and we nailed that. So I want to keep my streak going, but I've got confidence in not only what Signetti and crew are doing, but this program around, and I think they're going to surprise people again.
Yeah, it's been interesting that they're returning several key players on both sides of the ball. They've had a great transfer haul. A lot of people believe that Indiana picked up a great quarterback in the offseason. But because of the name on the front of the jersey, some of the pundit class is, thinking that it's going to be a regression back to 7-5, which, by the way, a year and a half ago would have been a dream season for Indiana football. But go ahead, sleep on the Hoosiers again. Don't rank Indiana in the top 25. I think it's just fuel for the team, and I think it's going to be a really good year. Fans are fired up. Ticket sales are at unprecedented levels, to be quite frank, and I think there's a real chance that we can establish a durable, successful program that's built to last, following up last year's miracle season with another great year this year.
Yeah, I've been looking and reading, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, they're not they're giving them the credit that I think that they're going to command, and which is fine. That's where Curt Signetti loves to live. I've never seen somebody who loves to just prove people wrong more than he does. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in the way of taking the challenge and going, now what do you think?
Well, yeah, he talks about complacency, a no growth mindset, people being too comfortable all the time. Go ahead. I mean, like if the national media and the national college football fandom wants to discredit IU, I think you're playing right into Kurt Cignetti in the team's hands.
Yeah, and I would say this, as you just, some of the phraseology you just mentioned, the players to a T all have the same vernacular. They're all on the same page, talking about complacency is this and that. And it sounds like just phrases they're throwing out, but it's not. It's because Kurt Cignetti and crew has ingrained that into these guys day in, day out, and they live that and they play that. And that is what's led to, or a big part of what has led to the success Indiana's seen on the field.
Oh, for sure. And, there are some coaches that are successful in the portal, some coaches that are not successful in the portal. And, we've had our hits and misses here at Indiana over a variety of sports, but it's really important when you bring in players from other programs to understand how they will fit into your culture, how they will adapt to your culture, how they will conform to your culture. And I've never seen a coach do it better than Kurt Cignetti. Kurt Cignetti knows Kurt Cignetti guys, finds Kurt Cignetti guys. Obviously, some of them came from a school that he used to coach, but they all conform to the culture that's already here rather than taking the best player available, regardless of how they would conform to the culture. And there is great buy-in.
Yeah, I've seen that going on with the recent commitments as well, as they continue pulling spring commitments up to 12 now. So that continues to bode well for this football program. Speaking of football, well, first of all, basketball, when you're doing the games, you are, to me, the funniest thing is when you have to announce the closing of beer sales coming up. And I've mentioned this to you before. And every time when the students boo you, it's a routine, people, as I've said, this is part of it's like Abbott and Costello. But you always have a different response, and there's no way you're coming up with all those off the cuff. You got to have those ready to go, right?
It's kind of a mixed bag. Sometimes I make it up, on the fly because I forgot to do it before. Some of them, they're a little pre-written, especially, like we're heading into finals week and, I'll just say, hey, it's a school night. Make sure you study. But it started pretty early. They just started booing the crap out of me every time I read it. And I just figured it merited a bit of a response. They were having fun with it. I wanted to have fun with it too. And it's kind of become a thing.
Yeah, it's funny, and I think that even some of the adults mentioned that they've joined in as well. But how much fun do you have getting to do that?
It's enjoyable. One of the great things about doing public address, similar to my many years doing play-by-play, you feel more immersed in the game when you have to pay attention to every element of the game the whole time, and so it's really satisfying that way. And there have been some great and wonderful moments in just 2.5 years into it, both in men's and women's basketball. So I've enjoyed that. Now, by the 40th night, am I a little tired of hot dogs? Yes. But other than that, being totally immersed in the games has been a really enjoyable experience. And seeing a lot of the same people, game in and game out, as they get to their seats and talking to the fan base, it's been good that way.
Because you do men's and women's, right?
I do men's and women's. So about 40 games a year. It's a lot of fun. And, frankly, my kids get a bit of a kick out of it too. It was funny when I first started doing it, and it was just to be a temporary replacement for Chuck, who retired before the end of the season. My own children did not know that I had a long kind of career in sports broadcasting. And so it's been fun to kind of reconnect that to my past a little bit.
Where were you last? Was you South Bend?
So, well, I mean, I was a sports broadcaster in South Bend for a couple of years, and then I did women's basketball play-by-play here. I did a pregame football show here, and I was the original broadcaster for IU baseball. And then I hosted the Tom Crean and Kevin Wilson television shows.
But that must have been fun. You talk about two different characteristics there, man. Oh wow. That's back to. Can you imagine being Chuck Marlowe?
Yeah, no, I mean the old 2 seats, a potted plant coaches shows. Those things have died. They had a great
Between
run,
two
especially in
ferns.
the 80s and
Did you ever
90s.
see Between Two Ferns? You ever see that with?
Yeah, a little bit of it between two ferns. They were fun to do for a while, but it was always tough. Like especially like basketball's lost 3 games in a row. How do I get 22 and a half minutes out of this? It wasn't always easy, but it was a good experience nonetheless.
I'm sure it was. Tatanka. People have seen the videos floating around. Jeremy's acting skills. If you haven't, look it up. I think you could probably find it on the IU Athletics Twitter and Facebook, probably. I'm not sure where all it is. You would know better than I, Jeremy.
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We've got a YouTube channel that they're all on. They've been widely shared. It was just kind of a fun way for the creative staff here to screw around this spring. We had a good time putting those together.
There's been this growing groundswell of people wanting the return of the Bison, which is at first it's for people outside of Indiana or especially outside of IU, maybe that probably is going to sound crazy and weird because first of all, their first question already is what the hell is a Hoosier? And now they're going to say, what the hell does Bison have to do with the Hoosier? But we know that it's on the state seal and that back in the day, they used to roam freely across Indiana. But the Bison is it's a great mascot. I love the Bison. But how are they going to – is this going to actually come back as a mascot?
It is, yeah. So it's coming back as a mascot. Hoosier the Bison. It will debut fall of this year. So, you come to football games, soccer matches, volleyball matches, and the like. You're going to see Hoosier the Bison. We're really excited about it. We've for a while been the one of 2 Big Ten institutions that did not have a mascot, and we think it'll help define things and it will elevate fan experience. And I think it's time to have a new tradition here at IU. And it's been a long time, other than the towels last year for football, which I think is going to be a lasting tradition. It's been a long time since we've established new traditions here. And I think, we've got some great ones, the candy stripe pants, the script Indiana, the under 8 timeout. We've got some great traditions. We think this will add to it, and it'll be a great element for the fan experience and really important, especially for young fans.
Yeah, it's always anything you can do to get people more involved, and I think that will be something cool. But we need a live Bison on, at least for football. Down there, you put a little caged area.
Well, a lot of people say that, but no one's willing to volunteer their son or daughter to be the person who runs this thing onto the field with a leash. So it's
I will ride it, Jeremy. I will ride it onto the field.
I think Jim Coyle should skydive today. It's like easy for me to say. Yeah. There's some challenges with the live mascot. We actually talked about that for a while. There's some challenges with it. It's not to say that we won't ever get to that point. The live mascots that you see in college sports, a lot of them have a very long legacy. The people who run Bevo around, that's become a tradition to be the trainers of this animal. We think it would be really expensive and difficult to do it now. It doesn't mean that it won't ever happen in the future, but we're gonna have a pretty awesome mascot in a suit.
Yeah, buying a Bison is not exactly like going out and getting a dog. It's
now, I will say what's actually been kind of fun is I've had some outreach from people who have bison farms.
Yeah.
And they said, we've got a calf. It would be perfect. And then they've invited Hoosier to come out to their farm. So I think there's a way to get it done, but it just won't happen right now.
Oh no, I would, but that would be an amazing thing to see. But there's a bison farm down in Floyd's Knobs, where the area where I'm from originally, and when I used to go by there, yeah, it's not like keeping a dog. People, you've got like an 8-foot fence, it's the high tensile wiring. not because they're mean or anything like that. Just they're big.
Yeah. It'll probably always work out until it has a bad day, so you got to plan for the bad day.
The worst part, as someone mentioned yesterday, is cleaning up any potential messes that may happen on a football field. You wouldn't want that to happen. That'd be like playing. I've read old football stories about guys playing on a field like the day after a circus was there. They're like, man, they had elephants everywhere, and you know how that goes. But I think it would be cool as hell. I think people are really behind this. And I haven't heard, normally you get to hear the people that support something, but you also hear the people that poo-poo it or whatever. I haven't heard much of that. Any of it, to be honest with you.
When we were entertaining the idea of adopting the mascot, we talked to some professional and college teams that have adopted the mascot in the last 20 years or so. So the Chicago Cubs with Clark, things like that. And we were actually going to be fine if it was a 60-40 reaction. Like, we understand that there's going to be pushback, anything new, challenges, assumptions, and people get upset about it. Alternate jerseys are kind of the classic example. Half love them, half hate them almost every single time.
Let's talk about names. Oh my God, you better go crazy.
So you do those types of things. Anytime you make a big change, there's going to be some pushback. But I think the way that it was rolled out over time, teasing it with video board graphics, schedule cards, allowing the fan base to run wild with AI generated graphics of Bison, chain smoking while beating up the Hawkeye or whatever. All of that has kind of laid the groundwork to a better reception. And right now, the way I kind of view it is it's been 95-5 positive. I've seen some negative, and I understand it's disruptive to what they've experienced, and it's our job to make them like it over time. But yeah, it's been overwhelmingly positive, and it's been really positively received by the athletes themselves. They are fired up that we've got a mascot. And I do think it's actually important for us to connect with younger fans. And this is not one of those, hey, we're going to play more rap music at games, connect with younger fans thing that's controversial. But there really have not been new traditions given to students and people younger. And I think we have to look at it. It's been 25 years since we've been an elite basketball program. We can't just rest on great things that happened in 1992 forever. We have to reconnect. And, you look at the student section in basketball last year, we filled it up one time. We filled up all of the balconies, the entire stadium one time in the student section. And so we gotta go to work here. And I think this is a step in the right direction of engaging students and especially younger people. There's a ton of research that's been done on fan behavior that if you have chosen your favorite team in a sport by the age of 6, that loyalty will be much greater than choosing it after the age of 6. And anecdotally, that is true in my case for Indiana, St. Louis Cardinals baseball. I have an irrational love for those teams, and it's because it's rooted in my childhood. And anything that can kind of engage really young fans, I think, is important too.
Yeah, I am a despaired Reds fan and have been for many, many years. It's has not been fun, but yeah, I agree with you and understand, because that's how you cultivate, even with children of fans, when they're trying to and push that on to their kids. There needs to be something for them to grab on to, because they need that excitement.
A lot of people do not want any change from the Bob. Not a lot of people. There's a certain subset of the fan base that does not want any change from the Bob Knight era. But think about the Bob Knight era: candy striped pants, script Indiana, the under-8 timeout, the Martha the Mop Lady video. There are all sorts of new traditions that were started in that period of time, and I think towels at football games, a mascot, are nice new traditions that can be added to the fold without displacing, it's not like we're junking the candy striped pants, Yeah,
I wrote a song for Kurt Signetti. It goes with some music, but that would be the great third quarter or entering the fourth quarter song. I'll have to send it to you sometime.
Okay.
I just like playing around with stuff. I'm always sending you stupid. I'm ADHD to the nth degree, and stuff hits my brain, and I'm like, I just send it to people. But yeah, I think that people are really, really excited about this. They're looking forward to it. When's the first time that the fans are going to get to experience this?
So I've been asked this question a lot. This is one of those, I'm just going to keep it shrouded in mystery. Stay tuned. But you're going to get to see it a lot. Here, full disclosure, the worst thing that we can do is pick out a great suit, which I think we had. I think we had an effective rollout, but that's for other people to judge. And then screw up the execution of the mascot itself. Like, oh gosh, it doesn't do anything, or it just stands around. So we got to train people to wear this. We got to actually figure out everything that it's going to do before we display it to the public. It'd be like building a gorgeous restaurant, hiring a great chef, having an amazing ad campaign to open the new restaurant, and then not knowing how to cook the food. And so I think it's important to make sure that we get all of the elements lined up before we have it interacting with the public. But it's gonna be everywhere. You're gonna see it everywhere.
Yeah, you only get one chance to make a first impression. So
For sure.
I get that. But yeah, like I said, it's been all positive. This has been going on for a few years too. People looking at this. So that's probably the best part is it's been a slow groundswell and just a buildup. And now it's come to reality. And it also opens up the opportunity for a lot more merchandising.
It does. You can sell. There's a chance. The estimates are that it could add $500,000 in new royalty revenue for the university. So it's a revenue driver.
Yeah, that will help to go to pay for the things that we were talking about earlier with all the new changes coming and with the House case and all that. The football posters that I look at every day, the Bison horns coming through, a little sneak peek kind of a deal. I assume that was done with purpose. It
was. We kind of at that point knew that we were going to do this. And so just kind of planting the seeds a little bit to make the ultimate landing a little bit easier.
I know the House settlement case is not stuff that you normally deal with, but you're always educated about it because of the people you deal with. How getting this done, is this something that makes things easier for you guys now to deal with these athletes because you're going forward? Because we're July 1st is when this is supposed to start.
Yeah, this is a major period of disruption in college sports, and I do think that the athletes who have generated so much revenue deserve to be compensated and compensated handsomely. I will say, having kind of final word has provided stability that will allow us to move forward. So it's been a good development for IU athletics and frankly everybody else in college sports to at least know what the next step is going to be. I don't think it's the final step. I think there's still a lot more to be worked out, but we at least know what the number is. We at least know what the process is, and we can now finally make some decisions. It's been really tough on coaches both in revenue sports and in Olympic sports to understand what the rules of the road are going to be. They knew vaguely that they were going to be able to find compensation for athletes, but how much? Well, now we actually get to do the math problem and figure it out. And while it's not perfect, I don't think that this is going to be the end result. I do think it's an important base for us to move forward on, and we can finally start making real decisions. And it's really, really tough too. Like our budget cycle is we start setting budgets in March and April, and our fiscal year is not the same as it is in corporate America. It's July 1st to June 30th. And so all of this was coming right on the doorstep. And do we have to pay $21 million or not pay $21 million? That's a very relevant question when you're making budgets. And so to have some answers there has allowed us all to take a breath. It doesn't mean that it's perfect or that all entities are going to be happy or we have it figured out totally yet, but at least we can work on the problem.
And with everything being equal, with all the schools getting the same, say just in the Big Ten, how is that going to give Indiana any kind of? It's not going to really offer an advantage since everybody is the same for everyone.
But it's not a disadvantage, and I have great faith that Kurt Signetti, with his yellow legal pad and his insane attention to detail, I trust Kurt Signetti's math problem solving better than I do any other coach in the Big Ten. And I think Darren DeVries is going to be in the same category. These are sharp people who think about these issues deeply, and I think our advantage is the brain power.
How important to Indiana athletics, to Indiana, was last season's football season? I mean, we're talking
just
about
alone having ESPN College Game Day here was $3 million in unpaid advertising for the university. Then you start talking about increased ticket sales, especially in a time of enormous economic instability in college sports. To be selling more tickets and to be able to count on certain revenue, I think is extraordinarily important. I think everybody in the athletic department walked 2 inches taller into work every day, knowing that we were a nationally relevant college football program. You see how it's impacted students. It's my understanding that applications to Indiana were up as a result. I think it changed the town in many ways. I think Bloomington, on some level, and I love Bloomington. It's my home. You know, you can eat Thai food, go to a play. There's wonderful city parks, and an Olympian can give your kids swim lessons here. It's a great place. I will say the city historically has made it kind of tough on football here. And I do think that the city itself got an up-close view of how football can also change the town, and they've really, really embraced it. So the amount of change that the successful football season has been a catalyst for, I don't think will be measured for several years. It's been a transformation.
Yeah, and you mentioned College Game Day. There was also Big Noon, Fox's Big Noon Kickoff, and on top of that, Kurt Signetti, twice. And on top of that, Kurt Signetti was everywhere all the time. And it's just a constant commercial for Indiana University. So, people don't realize the value that just those things alone add and what they bring, because it's immense. It's immense to building the football program, but it's immense in other things like you talked about.
And I will say, I don't think Ray Lewis will mind me saying this. It's changed the way that we're able to recruit for every sport other than football. Frankly, when you're recruiting someone, you want to bring them here on a nice fall day. As great as basketball's environment has been, do you really want to bring the baseball recruit here January 22nd at 9 o'clock at night when you got sideways sleet falling on the ground? Like, a fall football Saturday is the perfect time to experience Bloomington. And Ray Lewis, who is arguably our most successful coach, Todd Yeagley and Drew Johansson would like to enter the chat there too. But for years, he would not recruit on football game days. He's like, the stadium's empty. The students are all out in the parking lot binge drinking, and I'm walking parents and students through that. And it just looks like losing to me. Now all those students are in the stadium itself. You're winning. It's full. It's fun. And I think a lot of our sports are able to recruit to it. So it's a massive boon for everything here.
Yeah, I thought about that a lot when they would bring basketball recruits in. It has to make an impression when they turn around and then they go to Auburn for a visit. It's just different in how it affects you, man. But it's lots and lots of positive things going on, man. It is. It seems like everything is on an upward trajectory going into a season where football is going to be great. You got a new football or basketball coach with a completely new staff, new team. And I know there's a lot of excitement there because of the unknowns, but I was reading yesterday, I think it was ESPN ranked Indiana's transfer class as like 7th in the country. So there's a lot of upside there, a lot of opportunity there. I've had several of the players on. They're all excited. And you've got guys that came in from all over, and it's similar to how Curt Cignetti built his football team. Very similar, and there's a lot of similarities between Darren DeVries and Curt Cignetti. They're very different people, but there's similarities into what their mindset is.
Yeah, and it's not like I've broken down X's and O's with Coach DeVries yet at all. I can tell you that he's a normal dude. He's a thoughtful guy. He's easy to be around, but he is absolutely the boss, and I think all of that is important. He's not overwhelmed by the pressure of the job. He comes to baseball games here. He goes out to eat here in town, so he's kind of comfortable in the skin of a basketball coach here. One thing that is similar to Curt Cignetti, like if you're a receiver, you're blocking downfield or you do not play. And Darren DeVries has types of players that work for him. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but I've heard stories by people I trust that have talked to him about certain people that people thought we should be recruiting. And he looked at their defensive highlight tape and it wasn't good enough. And so he said, I don't want them, no matter how many points per game that they score. And so he's got a way that he wants to play and he recruits to it. And I think people should feel good about the future of that sport as well. Now, I don't want there to be some sort of Curt Cignetti test in year one that, the college football playoff is like making the Final Four in year one in basketball. That cannot be the expectation in year one of Darren DeVries. But I think we're going to play a coherent style of basketball that'll be really, really fun to watch. And it's going to be a very accessible program.
Yeah, I think they both need to be judged on their own merits without question, man. Anything else coming up exciting that I might have missed?
I can't think of anything. I'm really excited for the fall. I cannot wait for football season. And I think we got a lot of Olympic sports here. They're going to have nice falls as well. So it's going to be a fun time at IU.
Yeah, soccer, always fun, man. Soccer is something the town really, really supports. They always have great crowds, whether it's from the students or if I used to hate soccer just because I didn't know anything about it. Just one of those typical people that grew up, screw soccer. Soccer's for guys that can't play football and this, that, and the other thing. And but then my daughter started playing, and I actually learned to understand it. Have a great.
I think soccer's like baseball. That it's the more you understand it, the more you enjoy it.
Yes, you have to know what is going on, and when you do, you can be rather impressed. I assure you. And watching IU play, it's always fun because they're either winning or always in the mode of trying to win. So, very, very fortunate to have great coaches like Todd Yeagley around here for so long as well. I've told him personally, I think he's one of the greatest coaches that Indiana's ever had, and he is. Of course, his dad wasn't too bad himself.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Buddy, I appreciate you so much for taking the time, Jeremy. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you again, brother.
You got it, man. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Jeremy Gray joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. We're back with more on the other side of these messages. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Make sure you stop by in Nashville and visit our good friends at the Hard Truth Distilling Company, where you can pick up some sweet mash bourbon or rye, hard road rye. The sweet mash bourbon, by the way, voted top 50 bourbon of the century. Yeah, that's a big deal. You know, tomorrow on the dais is Dylan Sind, Kyle Neddenrip, and Rick Bozich. Talk about a lot of things. Well, hey, how about the state of Kentucky? You got Louisville and Murray State. So someone said Kentucky's a baseball state earlier. I guess you got to give it to them for this year. But man, I can't wait. Thank you so much to everybody. Appreciate everybody joining me on the show today. Mike DeCourcy and Jeremy Gray from IU. Most importantly, each and every one of you. Without you, we have no reason to be here. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Hello, everyone. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you, as always, for listening to our content. But for more in-depth coverage on the Indiana Hoosiers football, basketball, and recruiting news, go to thehoosier.com on 3. Now with On 3 and great national writers like Ari Wasserman, Andy Staples, and Steve Wiltfong for football, Pete Nakos, J.B. Shaw, and Joe Tipton's constantly breaking stories on the basketball side. And the local coverage from Alec Lasley, Kyler Staley, and Zach Browning. You can catch something new every day at thehoosier.com. Go there. Sign up today.